I've been watching the politicians do what they do and taking note of how they do what they do. It's not always what you do, but more about how you do it, how you get it done. And I want to weigh in on Donald Trump specifically because I'm bothered by his tactics and his remarks, and I think that they speak volumes about his character. And at the end of the day, character is huge. It's really important to be able to get someone in office that um, is noble and good and balanced and trustworthy and fair. Um, and he has made some public derogatory remarks about women. He has made public derogatory comments about immigrants. He has made derogatory commentary towards African Americans, stating that we are lazy and the only thing that we're good for is having sex and eating, and that we don't possess leadership skills or qualities. I take issue with a person. I want to first celebrate him for being transparent. I think that that's huge, and that not enough people keep it real and copacetic. You like say what you're about, so that people can understand who you truly are. And since he's doing that, I find it bizarre for anyone to support such a bigot, such a racist, um, and a person who clearly and openly lets you know what's in his head, what's in his heart, what's in his soul. And knowing all that, I wonder how people can openly support or privately support someone that is not for the people, just for his people. Now, who are his people? People that are like him. Listen, you can judge people all you want, but not everyone's born with a silver spoon in his or her mouth. Not everyone is privileged to be born into financial wealth. Um, and what that means is when you're born into poverty or a little above it, um, you may have the bare necessities in life. Middle class may be a beautiful home in a tree lined community. You may be accustomed to having your three square meals and yada, yada, yada. But then there's the flip side, um, when you're poverty stricken and you don't just as a kid get to be concerned with going to school and getting good marks and getting home. Sometimes you go to bed hungry and you wake up hungry and you don't have shoes that fit and clothes that fit, and you might not even have a bed, let alone a bedroom. There are kids who grow up on sofas or make a pallet on a floor or are tossed from home to home because their parents just can't make enough money to keep a stable roof over their heads. And you can judge, well, why'd you have kids, or why don't you do more? Life is what it is. There are the haves and there are the have nots, and then there's that gray area where the people in the middle have just enough and not enough. um, but these kids, they grow up with concerns that are very different than just getting good grades in school. They have to go in and out of communities that are dangerous and stressful, and their whole fight is on a whole different level. They're not exposed necessarily to um, higher education or competitive education, or just the same level of education that you give when you live in different zip codes. They're not used to traveling and seeing the world, so they don't get to become well versed. They travel through books if they're privy to them, or if they have an interest or a love for them, or if it's instilled in them. They travel through books and through fantasy and through movies and television, but not necessarily flying up and away to enjoy a beautiful vacation somewhere else in the world. And their fight, like I said, is very different. So it's really unfair to judge a body of people and say that, hey, look, all I had was $1 million, and look what I made of it. Well, if you give someone the education or the know-how or instruction or advice on how to become better or to become more or to look to their dreams or to tap into their gifts or to develop a skill and to trust that skill and back it with everything that's in them, and you give them $1 million, I bet you're going to get a whole different beast. I don't um, want to sit here and dictate to the next person who they should and should not vote for. Do what you do. But as for me, I'm looking at everyone. I'm listening to everyone, and I don't want to just point him out and not, talk about others. But right now, I'm directly talking about him because I'm most taking aback by his verbal conduct. I just think he's off the chain. And while America really appreciates real, we need to understand something. Like everybody, wants to get close. We're in the era of reality television. You want to know the next person's personal business. We're in love with Barack and Michelle dancing together and him playing basketball and just being real and relatable, and we love that, and we love the way that he's able to deliver these great speeches, and him as a leader and as a person. It's no more like untouchable. We're in there with our politicians now, and so people are relating to Donald Trump, getting up there and saying, hey, get up there and give me some help and give me some support. We need to kick ass. Oh, I don't think that's appropriate. Just because um, you break it down and get real with the people doesn't mean that you have to forget that your office and your mantle that you're reaching for is an important role, and that you have to set an example. You don't have to come down to where you think people will relate to you in order to beg them or get them to support you. You need to hold a higher standard so that the people who are supporting you can come a little higher. Because now we got people cussing each other out on the job, and I just think it's inappropriate. So I'm just not into someone just getting that loose in the office, and I got issues, and I just wanted to talk about it and share because I find it very disappointing that that's where we are in the world right now. I don't do it. I don't use profanity in the workplace or in professional environments. I try not to use it in general. Um, Sometimes we slip and we get upset and things come out. But come on, you're a public figure. Set a standard, give others something to reach for, and definitely leave a few breadcrumbs around so someone can follow the blueprint and try to make something better of their lives instead of judging them, and making an assessment when you haven't walked a mile in their shoes. You didn't have to try to figure it out from the projects where you don't have a view of windows but view of bricks. You don't have to try to figure that out. You haven't lived without an air conditioner trying to cool off with just a fan and drinking Kool-Aid or something like that. You know, Poverty, where you just don't have the finer things in life. That's not to say that people who are poverty stricken don't have healthy eating habits. Don't try to pigeonhole me into that. That's not what I'm saying. Some people do, but with limited finances, sometimes it changes your ability to do things the way that you would like to do them, and sometimes you sacrifice things like 100% pure juices and healthy foods for your family, um, and being able to just do it what the average person does. It's just a different fight. And I'm just disappointed at his judgment calls and remarks, and I think they're less than professional. I was told by someone who came on my social network page and said, but he's successful and he's proven. Well, the world is full of successful people who are proven, but that doesn't make them presidential material. And we need to be careful about who we look to run a country. They're like feathers, your votes, like words. Once you release them, you can't get them back. Once you vote, that's it. Vote smart.